north side where the winters were cold, lived a man named Doug, who was daring and bold. He was tall as a tree, with a voice rich and deep, like Morgan Freeman's, just blacker you'd weep. But Doug had a secret, a habit quite slick. He'd sneak into the market, a thief who was quick. Chips, sodas, and candy, whatever he'd find, he'd tuck them away, leaving no trace behind. The clerks at the market were none the wiser, for Doug's stealthy skills were a great equalizer. He'd slip past the cameras, a shadow in flight, and return to his room with his loot for the night. Now Doug had a roommate, a guy named Mikey, who wore mismatched socks and smelled slightly spiky. Mikey would watch as Doug came through the door, with chips spilling out of his jacket once more. Doug, Mikey said, this just isn't right. You're stealing those chips in the dead of the night. What if you're caught? What if you're jailed? This plan of yours, man, it's bound to be derailed. Doug sighed and sat down, his voice soft and low. Mikey, you don't understand. I've nowhere to go. No money, no job, no food on my plate. These chips are the only thing keeping me straight. Mikey frowned but said no more, as Doug munched his chips and stared at the floor. One frosty Chipmas eve with snow in the air, the north side market was bustling with care. Families were shopping for festive delights, filling their carts for the magical night. Doug watched from the shadows, his stomach a knot. The joy of the season was something he'd not. He crept through the aisles, his heart beating fast, grabbing what he could. This haul had to last. But as Doug reached for one final snack, he saw a small child with a bag on her back. She clutched a tiny bag of chips in her hand, her eyes wide with wonder, her smile unplanned. Doug froze in his tracks, his chest feeling tight. For the first time he questioned if this all was right. Doug left the market, his haul incomplete, the snow crunching softly beneath his feet. He gave the chips to the child he had seen, and walked into the night where the air was serene. Back at the apartment, Mikey looked up as Doug set down an empty cup. No chips tonight, Mikey asked with surprise. Doug shook his head, tears in his eyes. I can't do it no more, Doug quietly said, as he lay on the couch and rested his head. The chips he had stolen, the food he had taken, were filling his belly but left his soul shaken. And so on that Chipmas, Doug made a vow to find a new path, though he wasn't sure how. For stealing had filled him with sorrow and shame, and he knew that his life could not stay the same. Mikey frowned but said no more, as Doug munched his chips and stared at the floor. One frosty Chipmas eve with snow in the air, the north side market was bustling with care. Families were shopping for festive delights, filling their carts for the magical night. Doug watched from the shadows, his stomach a knot. The joy of the season was something he'd not. He crept through the